Now that we've had the opportunity to talk about the golden rule of algebra and have had a chance to take a look at one of these types of problems, let's go ahead and try one that's just a tad more difficult. And this one here, when we talk about order of operations, we know that multiplication and division come first before addition and subtraction. However, when we use d equal to negative 2 to create d minus 4 all over 2 equal to negative 3, this giant fraction bar here gives us this whole concept that there's really this invisible set of parentheses around the d minus 4. And as we know, why we have to do what's in parentheses first. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start by writing down my d equal to negative 2. And according to what I want to do in order of operations to get to this final solution is I want to subtract 4. But recall, golden rule of algebra says we need to do it to both sides. So I'm going to take my d and I'm going to subtract 4, and I'm also going to subtract 4 from the negative 2. So what I'm going to do on my column over here is I'm going to write down that I'm going to subtract 4. And one of the things I know some of you are probably freaking out about already is having to write the words on both sides so many times. Phrase that was coined last year by my students that I'll allow you to use is to use just OBS, so on both sides that way. So then the next thing we do is simplify, which gives me d minus 4, because I can't combine like terms, equal to negative 6. So what I'm going to actually do on this side is I'm going to write simplify, so I have steps, because this will come in handy then next year when you're in geometry and have to write algebraic proofs. Now next, from d minus 4, I still have this 2 down here, so I need to divide by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by 2 on both sides. And I'm going to fix that because that looks like a negative 2. And so I'm going to write that down over in the right hand column. So divide by 2 on both sides. Complete my letters there. And then finally I'm going to simplify. So I have d minus 4 divided by 2, and negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. And when I look, that checks out with what we've got. So check mark, we are done, other than to fill in over on this side that we did one last step of simplifying. Let's go ahead and take a look at another example. This time we're going to use h equal to 10 to create negative 2 times the quantity h minus 5 equal to negative 10. Order of operations says that I need to do what's in parentheses first. So after I write down h equal to 10, I'm going to take that h and I'm going to subtract 5 from it, and then equal to 10, and I'm also going to subtract 5 from that. So then I can go ahead and write down subtract 5 on both sides. And then I'm going to simplify, giving me h minus 5 equal to 5. I'll write down in my steps that I am simplifying. And then I'm going to look here, and I still have this times -2 here. So I'm going to make it look like I did in the problem, or like it will in the final equation. I'm going to put parentheses around the h minus 5, because remember, if I don't, then I'm multiplying only the 2 by, or the h by -2, and not the minus 5, which it needs to be. So then I'm going to multiply positive 5 times -2, and I'm going to write down times by -2 on both sides. And then finally, I'm going to simplify. -2 times the quantity h minus 5 is equal to -10, because 5 times -2 is -10. And that does check out, so check mark, we are done, other than to write down that we did one last step of simplifying. There we go. Now, your job is, we got one more example. Sorry, I apologize. We've got here using g equal to 12 to create g over 3 plus 3 equal to 7. So we're going to start off with our g equals 12. And I see here that first g is being divided by 3 and then adding 3 to it to get 7. So we're going to start by dividing by 3 on both sides. Now you can use the division sign if you want, this one here, but you do not have to by any means. But I'm going to go ahead and use the fraction bar, because that is what was used in the final problem. So then I'm writing down that I'm dividing by 3 on both sides. And then I'm going to simplify. G over 3 is g over 3. And 12 over 3 is 4. So I can write down simplify. Then I need to add 3 yet, because that is what is left out of the final equation. So g over 3, and I'm going to add 3 to it, and then I'm going to add 3 to 4. So I add 3 on both sides. And then finally I can go ahead and simplify, and I get g over 3 plus 3 equal to 4 plus 3 is in fact 7. Check mark. We can write down that our step was to simplify. Your job is to try this problem using b equal to 4 to create 3b minus 7 equal to 5. Do your best with it. We'll talk about it in class tomorrow, and make sure you write that summary.